Update. Neighbor was catfishing women using husband's photos. Original post. My husband 35 male and I 30 female were married for 8 years but have been separated for the last 14 months. And I need help and advice on how to rekindle our relationship. We are currently not in speaking terms and all our arrangements go through our lawyers. But I will have an opportunity over Christmas to clear the air and set things straight, as he will be flying in from Sydney to spend time with the kids. So what happened? I received a Facebook message in September last year that my husband was talking and exchanging naked photos with other women on Tinder. We spoke on the phone for a bit, and the only proof she had was a screenshot of their conversations and his profile. Long story short, I downloaded Tinder and found his profile, with his location less than 1 kilometer away. I was convinced that he was cheating, and we had a terrible fallout that evening, which led to my family coming over to calm the situation. But instead, it escalated when my brother punched and grabbed hold of my husband. The neighbors called the police and my husband was asked to pack a few things and stay elsewhere for a while. We separated shortly after, and he has since moved to Sydney to be closer to his ailing father but sees our kids for a weekend twice a month. Fast forward to the beginning of November this year. My neighbor rocked up at my doorstep to tell me that her husband was catfishing women on dating apps, using my husband's photos. He downloaded these photos from a MacBook that we lent him during COVID, and some of these photos were of intimate nature, and of me. The police are currently dealing with this. All of this has been relayed to my husband through his lawyer, but his response has been lukewarm, and he said we could talk about it over Christmas. I am so scared that we might be too far down the rabbit hole, and that he will likely push for a divorce. Even though I know that we love each other deeply, but this took a massive toll on our mental health, finances, and well-being of our 3 kids. What is the best way to approach him in December and make amends? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Wow, what a mess. I'm glad the police are involved in what that neighbor did. As for you and your husband, a lot is going to depend on 2 things. How much you both really do still love each other. How difficult it is for you both to have a truly serious, heart-wrenching, emotionally exhausting conversation. His logical side will likely understand why you thought it was true. After all, there were pictures. It would be easy to believe it was true. But his emotional side is going to be deeply hurt that you didn't believe him over the evidence. All you can do is sit down and try to work through it. Good luck to you. Thank you. I thought having a therapist present might help, but I have doubts and think it is better not to involve others. The aftermath was devastating for us both and more so for him when his friends and my family wrote him off. I still love him and never stopped, but I know it will be on his terms if he is willing to give it another chance. I am willing to do whatever it takes. What have you done to make amends and clear his name? Have you notified his friends and family that he was falsely accused and had been faithful the entire time? Has your family apologized? Has his friends reached out and apologized? Take a look at the definitions of regret that this happened versus remorse for the pain you caused them. I don't hear or feel remorse in your words, and I don't see remorse in your actions. Your husband experienced something that you will never understand. 1. False accusation. 2. An assault from your brother. 3. Spousal alienation. 4. No right of recourse against the false claim. 5. A complete lack of loyalty from his wife. 6. A complete lack of respect from his wife. 7. The loss of his life he had from a false allegation. 8. Parental alienation from his children. 9. Familial alienation from his in-laws. 10. Alienation from his friends. 11. The police were called and he had to leave. 12. You separated from him. 13. Your husband has already completed his grieving process. You ask, are you too far down the rabbit hole? Yes. I am afraid there is no going back for you. You chose to not listen to him when he said it was not him. I agree. I don't think there's coming back from that. I understand you had reasons to believe he might be cheating, but it seems he had no chance to defend himself. And getting your family involved made everything even worse. He was hit and was told to leave his house by the police. Has been living away from his kids for the past 14 months and has been treated as a villain by friends. You say you love him, but I don't think love could erase everything you two have been through and rebuild trust. If Opie had posted here when she originally got the message and found his profile, I guarantee everyone would be telling her she was stupid to believe her husband saying it wasn't him, and that she'd be back here in 6 months with an STD. It's weird how self-righteous people are being now with the benefit of knowledge she didn't have. And now for the update. Hello everyone. I have had quite a few people ask for an update on what happened after we discovered that my neighbor was using my ex's photos to catfish other women. Unfortunately, after having sat down and discussed things, it was decided that our marriage was beyond repair and that we should go our separate ways. He is currently in therapy and has requested that we have a clean break with no future contact in the future. I intend to respect his wishes and will continue to communicate through his lawyers on matters that concern our kids. I have since cleared the air with our families and friends and still actively works towards repairing his reputation. I would also like to clarify the attack and why my parents came over in the first place. The night of the argument, I called my mother to ask if I could drop off our kids and if they could spend the evening there, but she was concerned about my emotional state and asked that I stay put and they would come to fetch the kids instead. They arrived, and my brother opted to stay outside while my parents came inside to grab the kids and their bags. At this point, my father asked to talk to my ex and calm the situation, and my mom dragged me away to get the kids and their bags ready. My brother was very confused when we came outside and was triggered by my mom saying that my ex might have cheated. My brother reacted the moment my ex walked out and grabbed my arm in a non-violent way, leading to the punch and scuffle on the front lawn. He was remorseful and apologized even before we found out my ex was not to blame. It is a series of unfortunate events that has changed many lives and robbed my family of our love and happiness. Now, I have to focus on my kids, my depression, and coming to terms with the divorce. I will never forget, but hopefully the pain won't be as intense. I feel so horrible for your husband. He needed help. He was a victim. He needed his wife, the one person who should always be by his side. And instead, you divorced him and allowed a brother who would be triggered by events to be there. He was hurt. He lost his family and he lost his wife. My heart breaks for him. What do you mean coming to terms with a divorce? You refused to hear him out. What is there to come to terms with? The fact you wouldn't hear him out? Please, if you ever cared for him, even the tiniest bit, do not attempt to rekindle with him. He may be desperate and go for it, but he needs to heal. He needs to find someone who will genuinely back him, love him, and trust him. You've done a lifetime of damage to him. Edit. You say it is a series of unfortunate events that has changed many lives and robbed my family of our love and happiness. But it was your lack of belief in your husband, refusing to hear him out, and either spreading the lie or allowing the lie to be spread that destroyed his life, your kids' lives, and robbed them of their love and happiness. Quit acting like you were powerless in all this. You could have heard him out, let him prove it wasn't him, and tried to find a different path. Instead, you rocked up with a violent brother and took the kids. You either allowed lies to spread uncontested or spread them yourself. The man will be much better away from you. Recommend this place to those who are considering living with you. Let them read what you wrote. Let them know that you started a conflict by manipulating everyone. And now you are narcissistic enough to act as if everything happened by itself and you are the victim. You didn't explain to your family what you said on the phone. If you hadn't manipulated them, the whole family and your brother wouldn't come to pick up the kids. I guess this is the first time your brother has attacked someone. And don't try to hide yourself. You're a lousy person. I would be carrying that neighbor to court for identity theft, digital theft, revenge crime, and emotional damages for destroying my marriage. Oh yeah, that would be my first course of action soon as I heard of it. Since OP has already been talking to and through a lawyer, I don't think it'd be crazy to ask either who could help her in this case. Oh my god, this is awful. What do you bet that the bastard neighbor gets a slap on the wrist? Hopefully not, but I would not be surprised if that was the case. I do hope they at least sue the heck out of him. Hopefully OP put neighbor on blast on Facebook, next door, the local newspaper, etc. I would go 100% nuclear revenge at that point. Next story. Update. I introduced my brother-in-law to the woman he cheated on my sister with. Original post. I, 23 female, feel like such a jerk. My sister Gwen, 38 female, has been married to Jacob, 39 male, for 10 years. I've had a best friend, Ellie, 21 female, since middle school. She's always been around, but in 2020, I started inviting her around more because her mom died of COVID, so she didn't have any family around. So I invited her to holiday parties, family get-togethers, etc., so she'd feel part of a family. Then last night, we found out from texts my sister found in Jacob's phone that he's been sleeping with Ellie, and she might be pregnant. My sister is devastated and took their kids to come live with our parents. I feel so guilty. I'm the one who brought her around and invited her to stuff. I feel like it's all my fault. My sister's life is ruined. Her kids are really upset, but I don't know what else I can do other than say sorry. Now for the top advice before reading the update. You aren't responsible for that. Your friend probably wouldn't have gotten involved with your brother-in-law if her mother hadn't died. Her age and grief made it easier to take advantage of her. Are you going to continue being friends? If she's really pregnant and they're really together, it means she'll be the mother of my nephew's half-sibling. So I don't want to say anything to her until I figure out what my sister wants me to do. She looked at your sister and your nephews, then slept with your brother-in-law. That is the deal breaker in my opinion. She can't say he lied to her about being married or any of the rest. I'm not going to still be friends with her, obviously. I'm just saying I'm not saying anything to her. This isn't even remotely your fault. Ellie was barely an adult when this started, and it seems as if she's been around since her preteen years. She has no family, and it seems as if she has been groomed. Your brother-in-law's a predator, and this is not your fault. What a mess. I would try to get her side to the story, though. Don't take away the responsibility from Ellie as well. She is as much of an adult, and quite frankly, a horse's butt. Now for the update. So in the first post, I detailed that my brother-in-law Jacob, 39 male, cheated on my older sister Gwen, 38 female, with my best friend Ellie, 21 female after 10 years. We found out when Gwen found texts on Jacob's phone from Ellie talking about how she was pregnant. My sister is still really upset. She's not doing well at all. The kids all have a really good relationship with Jacob, so that didn't make it easier. They were asking about him constantly and crying for him. She went back home 2 days ago. She's living in the main part of the house while he's living in a garage apartment. My sister asked me to talk to Ellie to find out as much of her side as we can. She is pregnant, and apparently her and Jacob have been dating a while. He told her my sister had a drinking problem and was emotionally abusive to him and the kids. I told her that was all a lie, and if she really thought that was true, why wouldn't she talk to me about it? She said she thought I'd lie for my sister. I know you all probably think I'm crazy because I'm so emotional when I'm not usually, but I'm so sad for my sister. But also, I feel guilty because I also just sat down and sobbed the other day. Because she was my best friend for so many years, and she must completely lied and misled me and made up stories to keep her dating him a secret. She wasn't really my friend at all, and I had no idea. And I know this is about my sister and her kids and not me, but I feel so sad about that. A lot of people seemed confused about when they met. 2020 was just when her mother died and I started bringing her to big family events, holidays and stuff. Jacob and Ellie have known each other since me and her became friends when we were kids, because my sister was still living at home when they started dating. I wouldn't ever say that him and Ellie were particularly close or anything, so I don't know if any grooming or anything like that happened. Ellie doesn't have any family, so I don't know who would even look for proof of that or not. My sister has already hired a lawyer. Jacob says he's sorry about the infidelity, but says he's ready to move on with Ellie. Everything just really sucks now. The only one who doesn't seem affected by any of this is Jacob, who has just been acting completely normal and just hanging out with the kids a lot. My sister said he almost seems cheerful about all of this. To hell with Jacob and Ellie. I just don't know how they could lie to us for so long. Because they don't have a conscience. Also, don't believe Ellie for a second about what brother-in-law said about your sister. If she has known you since middle school and has been around the last couple years, she has seen firsthand their interactions. I call it a huge pile of horse manure, and she's just a horrible human being. Well, a snake. She bites the hand that feed her. Harp and Ellie all you want. She's a deliberate homewrecker, liar, and a terrible friend. But don't ignore Jacob in this. The man cheated on his loving wife, the mother of his children, with a girl who was underage when he met her in his early 30s. He was an adult when she was born, and he lied to her to get in her pants. Then he didn't even use protection. What a POS. Honestly, don't worry about Jacob and Ellie, and cut off contact with them both. There's no reason you need to be in their lives anymore, and they'll get what's coming to them. Ellie has no mother, and has saddled herself with a guy who is 18 years older than her, and lies and cheats for 18 plus years. Her hell will be here as soon as he finds another barely legal adult to cheat on her with. Not to mention she's giving up her entire young adulthood for this. Jacob may seem unaffected now, but he's going to have a world of hurt coming his way with all the legal and financial requirements that come with a divorce, with proof of infidelity if you're in a state that cares about that, child support, and possibly alimony. He will eventually go through the same thing with Ellie when he knocks up either one of her friends or some other almost teenage girl that he's manipulated into believing Ellie's a terrible person. Basically, their lives in a relationship are a ticking time bomb before they implode because of each other's crappiness. None of this is your fault. If it wasn't Ellie, Jacob would have found some other girl with emotional issues to sucker into an affair with. Don't worry about them. They'll get what's coming to them. Focus on supporting your sister through all of this and helping however you can. It will get better for you, her, and her kids over time if you all look out for each other. Good luck. You can be emotional for yourself and the own betrayal you went through from your best friend while still being sympathetic and sad for your sister. Don't feel guilty for that. Events like this don't just affect one person. It is obviously going to affect you, your sister, her kids, likely your parents, but all to varying degrees. I'm sorry you had to find out your friend did not value your friendship this way. If she had valued your friendship, she wouldn't have had a relationship with your married brother-in-law. Whether she was groomed or not, it's not your responsibility now to figure any of that out. Thank you. It's just a really hard time, so I think I just don't know what I feel bad about.